Hi, this is Blaine Sebastian with my Microsoft Excel videos. Today I'm going to be following along with a geometrics activity called Excel formula and data tabs. Now, remember, your questions, if you're following along, will not be in the same order as mine are. That's okay. If you would like to match them up, you can always look at these little identifier numbers that are in the parentheses on your question list. Those will match up. So if you just want to take a look at this, and I can provide those numbers as well as to which ones I'll be doing. And I won't be doing this entire list because 37 is entirely too many. I will be skipping around just to highlight the important parts. Alright, let's get started. I'm going to start with my number one. In this time card sheet, in cell D30, we're going to change the formula. So let's go to D30. Remember, you can always use your name box, which is up here, and type D30 if you want. And there we go. It highlights it for you. You just type it, hit enter. And we want it to have a formula that's the sum of these cells and multiply the result by this cell. So when we have this phrase right here, it's saying multiply the result. Well, that means do this part first, then multiply by this part. Okay, so let's just go over the different ways you can do a formula. First of all, I'm going to delete what I currently have in that cell and hit enter just to kind of clear it out. And if you know your formulas, you can type the formula yourself. You can type equal sign sum. And you should know that after a formula, you have to have parentheses, or an open parentheses. And inside the parentheses goes what's called an argument. And an argument has nothing to do with fighting or anything. An argument just means what does the formula refer to? So in this case, we're doing a sum, and so that just means what are we summing up? And they tell us we want to do D21 to D27. So once again, you can type this all by hand, and you do your colon. Remember, colon means from D21 to D27. Okay, and once you're done, you can close that parentheses. Okay, so if I hit enter right now, that's going to give me the sum of all these numbers. But that's not everything that I wanted. I also need to do the second part, multiply the result by this cell. So let me double click to get back into the cell, and to multiply in Excel, you're going to do the colon. I'm sorry, this is not a colon, the asterisk, which is Shift 8 on your keyboard. And that represents multiply. Now, just a few other functions in Excel that I'll show you real quick. You can do addition. Okay, plus sign, subtraction is minus sign, division slash, and there are some other ones that you might use a little more rarely. Caret will do an exponent, and the ampersand symbol is for tying together strings. And strings are pretty much words. Any symbols that you can't do actual numerical analysis with, those are going to be strings. So letters and other symbols can be strings. So we're not going to worry about that. But right now we need to do times D29 and just hit enter. That's our answer. Now there's other ways we could have done our formula, but we'll go into that later. So let's move on to number two. It's kind of taking a while. Apologies. It's taking a very long time. Okay, let's see why it's doing this. It's gonna, okay, let's just go to number two this way. Okay, in the budget plan worksheet, create a reference to this cell, in this cell to event total, and in this cell to pro total, and this cell to add total. Okay, so what are these weird words? Well, these weird words, these are named cell ranges, and named cell ranges, we're going to talk about how you create a named cell range, but if you want to see which named cell ranges already exist in your document, you go right here, and there you go. It's, if I click on one, it will bring me to exactly what that named cell range is. So I clicked on events total, and apparently it's all these cells that you can see highlighted here. Now, we need to create a reference. Well, what does that mean? First off, let's make sure we're in the right sheet. So let's go to budget plan chart, E42. Okay, now a reference means this. It's like a formula, but you're just saying in that cell, I want it to be equal to this other cell. That's all it is. It's the simplest formula. So all you have to do for this is go to the cell that they tell you, and you type equal, and you don't even have to put a formula. You just start typing the name. So if I wanted this cell to be equal to, I don't know, cell E41, the cell above it, I could type E41, and it would put whatever, if I had the number 100 in here, and it would copy it. But that's not what we want here, so I'm going to backspace. Let me get rid of this. In this case, we want it to be equal to event total, and I start typing. Once I see what I want, I can either double click on it, or I can use my arrows and hit tab. Hit enter. There you go. It equals event total. This one, it's pro total. Okay, and enter or tab, and then add total, AD total. Okay, that was all the directions we had, and that's it. Be sure to click away after doing your last cell, or you will get the problem wrong. Just a little hint for you. Okay. I'm going to skip, oh boy. Okay, let me go back. I'm going to go to my number 4. In the marketing budget plan worksheet, click on it. Sort the data in the cell range shown right here by column B, largest to smallest. Sorting's really easy. You just have to highlight the cell range. I'm going to use my name box to jump to A73. There's A73, or you can click on it. And then I'm going to use my shift trick so I don't have to click and drag. I can just hold down shift and then click on D85. There we go. Sort, you can stay in the home tab, you can go to the data tab, either one, and you click sort, and you're going to sort by column B, largest to smallest. And that's it. Now I'm going to jump to number 6. Alright, marketing budget plan worksheet, select cells A2 to D95. I'm definitely using my shift trick here. And we're going to filter the category by the color black. It's really simple. You sort and filter, and we're going to do filter this time instead. And you get the little filter controls pop up. We want to go to category, click the arrow, filter by color, and black. And that's it. That's all you do. All right, let's, without checking this one, because I know we did it right, jump to number 8. All right, for number 8, we need to go to the profit loss summary worksheet, and we're going to have to name some cells. So we're going to have to go to C5, and to name a cell, you go to data, you go to define name, and you tell it what you want to name it. Est income. So we're creating a named range. In this case, it just happens to be only one cell. You can create named ranges that are lots of cells. You can do just one. You can do huge ranges. It's completely up to you. Now C6, we're also going to name that one, and that one's going to be est expenses. Okay, hit enter. And that's the first sentence. The second, in cell C9, let's go to C9. It already has something in it. Let me just delete what's there. Use a formula that subtracts est expenses from est income. Well, that's easy. Remember, start your formulas off with an equal sign, always, always, always. And I'm just going to start typing est. There's est income. I just need to go hit tab. And then minus est expenses tab. Be careful with the order on this. We want to subtract est expenses from est income. So just careful with that. Once you're done, enter. And there it is. That's the correct formula. All right, we're going to go to number 9 now. And in number 9, once again, profit loss summary. Change the chart right here to have this data, or to select this data. Okay, so here's profit versus loss. Click on it, and you just go to your chart tools over here, and go to design, and you're going to select the data. And currently, it's not selecting anything, so you need to tell it, hey, look, right here, here's the data. So you can click on this, and then you can just go grab from B4 to D6. Once you've done that, click OK or hit enter. There it is. It looks great. Number 13. 13. Define the name. Okay, in number 13, we need to define the name for this range. So we're going to click from I6. I'm going to use my shift trick, or you can click and drag. All right, we grabbed all these. Name it miles. So we're going to go to formula, define name, miles. Okay. All right, and then in cell D3, insert a sum to or sum formula to show the sum. All right, so there's a few ways you can do this. As you've seen before, you can type it yourself. You can start typing equals, sum, open parentheses. You can type miles and close parentheses, and that's it. But that's not the only way to do it. And you're going to get 30 as, I got 30 as an answer, so let me delete. You can, if you're in the home tab, you could have come and hit auto sum, and the word sum pops up right here, and you could type miles. That's another way to do it. You can go to formulas, and you can click insert function and click sum. Okay, and then you type miles here. This is called the formula wizard. Okay, and our arguments for the formula wizard, each little blank is an argument. Okay, so you type miles there, you get the same answer. There's so many ways to do this. I could keep going. You could click on this sigma, this button right here with this Greek sigma. You could have clicked on the drop down and click sum. You could have used, you know, if it was in your recently used, there's so many ways to do this. You could click on the formula wizard from right here, or the insert function box from right here. There's many, many ways to do this. You get to pick however you want to do it. All right, we are going to move on to 14. Okay, in 14, you're going to apply a filter to the data, and you only want to show miles driven for a business purpose. All right, so you click in the table, go to data. Okay, and here's a filter. Okay, and you just go to the filter. Now, right now, everything is selected, but you can turn off or toggle off the select all and then just turn on the business purposes. Now, let me show you one other thing. That's how you would do this problem. But let's say you had different sorts of a different question. Remember, we can sort by color. We can filter also by cell color. And you can clear filters by clicking on this. And then there are some cool text filters. So if you have numbers or you have words that or phrases that contain certain words, you can sort by that as well. So you can say, well, I want to keep things that in this column that contain, the letter P. Let's see if that works. Okay. And notice it only kept the personal ones because those had those have the letter P in them. And if I bring it back, there's all of them, including the ones, we're back to how we started before we filtered those out. So that's a lot of cool filters that you can use. You also you can do a custom, you can do beginning or ends of words, and then equals or does not equal. And this could be numerical, or it could be strings, meaning, like I said earlier, words, letters. So if it's equal to the word business, or not equal to the word business, or equal to a number. So that's filters. They can be very useful. With that said, let's jump to number 15. Okay, and in number 15, in cell J6, okay, J6, use a formula that subtracts G6 from H6 and multiplies the result by 0.36. As we mentioned before, when it says multiplies the result, that means you're going to do this part first, get an answer, and then do this part. Okay, so you might be tempted to type in here equals H6 minus G6, and then, just multiply by 0.36. And notice, if you can't see very well what I'm typing here, it's also going to appear right here in the formula bar. Okay, so that's two different ways to see what I'm doing. But, I hit enter, everything looks fine, but cost per mile, it's $2,000 per mile. Something's a little off here. So what happened? Did I subtract the two cells, get the result, and then multiply by 0.36? No, I didn't. If you know anything about order of operations, you know that this operation happened first because multiplication comes before subtraction in PEMDAS, right? So you ended up doing this cell times 0.36, then subtracting this whole amount from H6. So how do we fix that? What can we do? We'll use a good old parentheses. That's the very first thing in PEMDAS. So you're going to add a parentheses around the H6 minus G6. Okay, and that way, according to order of operations, PEMDAS, you will do the subtraction first, then multiply by 0.36, hit enter. Whew, it's only $10.80 per mile. That is a lot more reassuring. It sounds a lot more reasonable. Good. Let's move on to number 22. Source data worksheet. We're going to use find and select to find a cell that contains data validation. Okay, so we need to go to find and select, data validation. And notice that my cursor jumped, or my selection tool jumped. It was over here somewhere, and now it's on B2 because that cell has data validation in it. And we have to clear the validation. But you may be wondering, well, what on earth is data validation? Let me show you. Go to data validation, and click the first option. Data validation is an option in Excel that allows you to say what is and isn't allowed inside of your cell. Now, the default, what you can normally put in a cell, is anything. You can put numbers, you can put strings, meaning words, letters, symbols, and you can make it however long you want. You have free reign. But data validation is when you go to a cell or a group of cells and you say, no, you're not allowed to put, this word in here. So let me do something. I have a word here, and I'm going to copy it, okay? And I'm going to go in a blank cell, and I'm just going to paste it here. Control V to paste. All right, so that word's allowed there. But in cell B2, I'm going to try to paste that word there. Uh-oh. Oh, and I messed up something. Let me just match the formatting. Okay, so I pasted the word in here. There it is, but when I try to hit enter, uh-oh, that didn't go as planned. That shouldn't have worked. Something funny's going on. Okay, now it worked. So notice I can leave the cell blank, but if I try to put this long word in here and I hit enter, it's not going to let me leave that word there. I can't have that as the entry for that cell. Why not? If I hit retry, hit enter, it's not going to let me, but I can shorten it. Okay, so that works. And I think his name was Anthony. I don't remember. What is happening? Well, the data validation, notice what was already the data validation for this cell. It says, allow text length less than or equal to 8. So you can only put things that are 8 characters or shorter into this cell. For a normal cell, like let's get any other cell in here, go to data validation. Normally you have nothing. Normally any value is allowed. But in B2, for whatever reason, they changed it so it's only allowed to be 8 long. Well, in this problem, the second part of the instructions say clear the validation. So you're going to go, make sure you're still on B2, open validation, and you just click clear all. And that's it. You've done it. Be sure to click OK when you're done, and that's how you do this problem. Let's look at 23. Okay, in 23, all right, in the annual sales worksheet, we're going to insert a 2D, let's see. And this is just a chart. You guys already know how to do charts from Word. So let's skip on to 29. There we go. That's what I meant. And don't worry, we only have two more problems. We're almost done. Okay, so in 29, we need to go to the Combined Cells worksheet and correct the formula in this cell range. This cell range right here. Okay, so you notice if you click on any of these cells, you can see their formula right here. And they all have a formula. And the answer to these formulas, it's all these percents. It's percents, but they're huge. Why are these percents so huge? Something has gone wrong here. And it says we need to correct this formula so that it calculates the percentage of change from the sale in 2010 to 2011. So we're really trying to find a percent difference. Okay, so let me show you a formula that I made. And the percent difference formula, let me fix it here. For this particular problem, here's the formula that they want. They want you to do this. They want you to take the amount they made in the newest year, which was 2011, right, minus the old year divided by the total. Okay, so that's the formula you need to use. New minus old over total. And that's a formula that you'll see in real life. That's why you need to know it. For Microsoft Word. So it's new minus old over total. Now, let's look at the formula they have. They have the new year, which is 2011, minus the old year, the 2010, over the total, which is right here. And, you know, these cells, they are in other worksheets, but that's okay. That's correct. But here's what's gone wrong. We've seen this before. What's happening? It's order of operations. These cells right here, This division is happening first, and then it gets subtracted. But that's not what the formula says. The formula says do the subtraction first, then divide. So what is it we're missing? It's those parentheses, those pesky parentheses that they keep forgetting. So we need to put the parentheses around the subtraction so it happens first, then the division happens. So watch now as I hit enter. That's a much more reasonable percentage. And it's okay that it's negative. The negative percentage means that Elizabeth, she sold less in the, she didn't make as much money the second year. Let's go see if that's true. Let's see, this year, yes, in 2010, she made a lot of money, $15,000, and then she went down in 2011. That is why hers came out negative, so that's fine. Then once we've fixed her performance, we need to fix everybody, so just click and drag the autofill handle. Remember, autofill handle, you have to be clicking down here at the bottom right. Click and drag. Beautiful. Looks much better. Now, we have one more problem. 31. Okay. In 31, combined sales worksheet once again. And we want to calculate the sales percentage for each representative in column F. And what that means is we want to figure out if this is how much money the whole company sold or made this year. They sold $600 or more than $600,000 in sales. Wow, great job for them. And you know, we want to figure out each person, how much of a percent of this did they help bring in? Okay, well, we can figure that out because, you know, percent, I hope you know, we would do equals, and we would say, all right, we want to do how much Elizabeth made, so that's the part divided by the whole. Part divided by whole, that's percent. It'll actually spit out a decimal, but we know that this 0.034 blah, blah, blah means 3.4%, right? You just move the decimal over. That's 7th grade math right there. All right, great. Now let's copy for everybody. But wait, what's happened here? Why didn't the formula work? Well, let's look and see, why did this one work? We did part over whole, but then once we get to F4, part over whole. Well, hold on. It has the right part, but it's not grabbing the whole. It went down one whenever we copied it, right? Okay, let's look at this right here. Oh, same thing. It's doing E5 over this blank cell. We wanted it to be E5 over this cell. Same thing here. It keeps scooching down one by one. Excel does this in order to try to help us so we don't have to copy, you know, every time we do a formula, go and fix it. But in this case, it kind of backfired on us. But there's a solution to this. Because every time we want to put a formula here, we want to say, take the amount of money the person made and divide it by E8. Same thing here. Take 100,000, divide it by E8. Take this cell, divide it by E8. So here's how we tell it to always do E8. There's a simple solution for this. In your formula in F3, instead of just typing E8, you're going to put $E, $8. Okay, $E, $8. And then copy it. And look at that. Wonderful, it fixed it. Here's what that means. Notice in every cell, when you copy that formula down, every time you, like when you went to F4, it's looking at E4. When you're doing F5, it's copying what's in E5. But for the second part, it doesn't copy it down. It doesn't change the number every time. So every formula in this row takes what's next to it divided by this cell, which is exactly what we wanted. This is called an absolute cell reference. It means no matter where I copy this formula to, the formula will always have the numbers E8 in it. What you've been used to in previous problems or other problems is a relative cell reference. Relative cell reference is just a normal cell reference. It's the default. So this E3, that's the relative cell reference, and it means if I copy this formula, to down here, then what it'll do is change it. It doesn't say E3 anymore. When I copied it down here, now since I copied it down 5 spaces, it moved the E3 down 5 spaces to E8. So that's the difference between absolute and relative cell references. I think that is going to be everything that you need to know in the Gmetrics for Formula and Data tab. If you can do any of the problems we just did, then you can do any problem in the entire exercise. Thanks for watching and good luck with your certification.